Show these people why you think you can thrive in their program. Show them. And welcome to a new video. Just as I said last week, I will be reviewing my own personal statement, and also I will be talking about just a few tips that I use to help my personal statement stand out. And yeah, I think that it was definitely helpful for me trying to take a stab at this thing we call personal statements, and I hope it's helpful to you. Before I get into it, I just want to give you all a reminder that the giveaway is still open, and it ends on November 8th at midnight Eastern time. So check out that video to figure out what I'm talking about if you have no idea. So let's get into the tips. So I just want to go ahead and say that there's something called a personal statement and a statement of purpose, okay? And first of all, that right there is what confused me. I thought that they were the same thing. I thought personal statements, statement of goals, statement of purpose, I thought, well, they're all the same thing because they're all asking the same thing. But the answer is no, actually. So I'm more so talking about personal statements today because I only had to do 2 statement of goals statements, but the rest of them were definitely personal statements. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. When we're talking about personal statements, we're really just answering 3 questions. 3 questions. We're just answering who we are, what we want to do, and why. That's it. We're answering 3 questions, but you know, you gotta throw a little sauce on there. You can't you can't give it to them just like that. Now you gotta kind of tell a story here about yourself. So that goes into my first tip, is to brainstorm with your CV. And when I say a CV, it can also be your resume. All of the programs that I applied to requested that I had a CV and not a resume. So that's why I said brainstorm with your CV, use your resume, whatever. And when I say brainstorm, I'm really talking about you're not even writing at this point. You're just allowing the ideas to just flow. Let them flow. You don't have to go ahead and just write. I think that the brainstorming process helps you to kind of think about every direction that you could possibly go. And then from that, you kind of go in and then you kind of say like, I don't want to, those 5 aren't really great, I'm just gonna narrow it down to 3, and then you can narrow it down to 2, and then you can narrow it down to I just feel like brainstorming really helped me to figure out, how are all of these things in my life connected? I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. How are these things connected? And I felt like doing the bubble brainstorm where I'm just like, an idea is its own bubble, and I literally had a roadmap, and I literally went arrow here, and that allowed me to see the big thing that I wanted to convey. So brainstorm with your CV, and also when you brainstorm with your CV, you can help to get yourself in the motion of thinking, okay, how can I convey to the reader that I was intentional in everything that I did? How can I convey this? So that was one. That's a tip number 2. That is another way to stand out, is to convey that you have been intentional with every single experience that you have had. And you might be saying, well, I haven't had any experience. No, you really have. Your undergrad experience is experience. The coursework that you did is experience. Whether you actually had practica, where you went out in the field and you did things, you observed things, that's experience. If you're feeling like, you know, I'm going straight from undergrad to graduate school and I don't really have experience, you do. You have experience. And if you have work experience or research experience, this is here too, to say you really just want to convey that you have been intentional to get to where you want to go. Right? So you don't want the person who's reading this, or the people who are reading this, feel like this person has been flying by through the seat of their pants through their whole track record. You want them to know that you, from jump, that you were like, okay, I did this, I did this, I did this. Now, if you are saying, well, I kind of did a whole bunch of things and it wasn't really intentional, whether you know it or not, it has intentionally prepared you for now. All right, so if you want to flip it that way, you might want to say, okay, I went this way, I went that way, and all of those things together have come together. Because when you brainstorm, you can say, okay, this, even though you didn't intentionally make those moves, when you see the experience and what you've learned from each, it's intentional. It's still intentional. So yes, brainstorm with your CV and market yourself as intentional. You want them to know that you are passionate and you're serious about this. This is not nothing you're doing as a hobby, or you doing it just cause. I hope not. So yes, those two things are strong. The next thing I want to talk about is start off your personal statement with something interesting or personal that is related to the field. The thing about it is, the people who are reading your personal statements are also reading 45, 55, 95, 100 other personal statements, right? And so you want yours to stand out. So you want to give them something that's interesting, that kind of reels them in to say, okay, I'd like to hear more. Okay. So that is something that I really was kind of like nervous about, because I didn't want to do like clickbait. For when I say clickbait, there's this thing on YouTube where basically like you can lie in your on the title of your video, and then people click it and it has nothing to do with what you're talking about. So basically clickbait in the form of a personal statement. I'm saying, like, don't say like something outlandish just because you want to reel the reader in, because y'all, these are actual like graduate school like faculty. Like the fluff is not gonna go very far with them. But anyway, just make sure that you start off with something interesting that really allows the reader to say, okay, I want to learn more. And yeah, so this goes into my other tip in knowing who your audience is. Okay, know your audience. This is not something that's being given to a family friend, your neighbor. You're not reading it to a class of undergraduate students or anything like that. Your audience is probably one of the three, if not all three. A graduate committee, which is either going to be just the faculty in your program, or it could be faculty from the psychology department. It is either the graduate program that you're applying to, that program director, or it could be your potential advisor, or it could be all three, because it can go into a shuffle of different people's hands, right? So now you know who you're writing this to. Now, because the way the system works, we don't get to have, we're not guaranteed an interview. So this is your first impression. This is your first impression that you're giving them. So because of this, and you know who your audience is, say what you would say in the interview. Make them feel like, okay, wow, I feel like I really get a good, you know, kind of summary of this person, what they can offer and what they want in all of those different things. Because remember, you want to answer those three questions. Who are you? What do you want to do, and why? And you know your audience. So now this is where that intentional part comes in, allowing them to see your track record of what you've done and put story to your CV, because that's what they're looking for. They want to know more about you. They want you to use your own words to tell them about you. No one knows you better than you. Let them have it. Give them the story. Give them the tea professionally. You want to say how you see yourself fitting into the program. You want to say your short-term and your long-term goals. You want to say what you hope to get out of the program. You want to say things like that. And also, y'all, and this is another tip. Use examples. Okay, do not be vague or anything. And I think that's something that I felt like I struggled with, is that I just felt like, oh, they'll know what I'm talking about. But try and be as descriptive as possible. If you want to go through, or you want to go to a school psychology program, don't just say I want to help children. because there are so many roles that help children. Why in particular do you want to use school psychology to help children? And when you say help, what do you mean by help? Do you want to change the way we do something? Do you want to improve the way we do? Like, come on, do you want to research something and then from your research you're providing a new lens and perspective to apply something? Like, you know, give it to them. Like, tell them, you know, what you're trying to do. Don't be vague or anything like that. And not just school psychology, clinical psychology too. Now, if you really wanted to add some sauce, you could see the faculty who are in the program and you could see what they've done. And if you personally feel like, wow, that's something that I want to do, you can mention that. There's something called the diversity statement. So inside of a personal statement, this is just something that I would say to do, is you want to have a statement that is about what you've done as far as being intentional with addressing diversity, equity, and inclusion within whatever realm you're in. And people call that the diversity statement. And you could talk about your own personal experience, and when I say personal, being that if you are belonging to an underrepresented group within your field, in any shape, way, or fashion, talk about how you personally are doing so, or you can talk about what you do to amplify those groups or whatever. Because I had that question on a supplemental application, it's not inside of my personal statement, but I did leave like 3 sentences so they know, like, you know, okay, it's a mini statement. So you want to also include that. Now, they're not going to ask you for a diversity statement, but I definitely think it's something that sets you apart, because you have now taken a chunk of your personal statement to address something, and now more than ever you want to go to a program that's going to value that. Don't lie, don't over embellish. And let me tell you something, you have the skill set, the know-how, and the knowledge to get into a program or programs. And I tell people this all the time, you have it. You have to learn how to market yourself and show your best self. And when I say best self, that does not mean that you have to hide things that they would call deficits that you've been through. You don't have to hide that, because those things taught you, those things are helping you to be able to thrive in their program, and you need to communicate that. You need to, and that's why I say it goes back to using examples, is that show these people why you think you can thrive in their program. Show them. Don't let your story be told by somebody else. Don't let your documents tell your story. Don't let your GPA, your GRE score tell them the story. Okay, y'all, so I'm about to read my personal statement. Before I read it, I'm saying I am not the personal statement guru. This is not the perfect personal statement. I'm pretty sure even reading this right now, I'm probably like, oh, I could have said that better. I could have said that better. So just sharing this so that you can see what I applied with. And it begins with this. Equity and social justice are critical issues that have captured my interest for many years. First, as an undergraduate student studying education and psychology, then as an elementary school teacher in Richmond, Virginia, and now as a graduate student studying school psychology and serving in various leadership roles within the National Association of School Psychologists, NASP. After obtaining my undergraduate degree, I served as an elementary school teacher in a community often characterized by its violence and failing schools. I was drawn to the possibility of improving the educational experiences of the students and communities I served in. My teaching experience affirmed my desire to spread awareness of inclusionary practices that serves all students equitably and can support all students in their well-being socially, academically, and emotionally. My graduate program provided me with fundamental opportunities to explore ecological perspectives that helped in my progression of further understanding the diverse transactional environmental influences that can create chronic stressors for children and youth. In this, I was able to examine and address the concerns children and adolescents experience both externally and internally through my clinical experience as a graduate student. I have developed integral skills in utilizing an ecological perspective to understand data and inform my conceptualization and recommendation development. I have continued in making intentional efforts to explore evidence-based strategies, which has been effective in addressing, supporting, and treating the concerns seen in children and adolescents. My applied experiences became integrated with my development as a sound researcher and leader. In one of my most recent first author projects, I explored the influences of school-community partnerships, utilizing the framework of Epstein's theory of overlapping spheres on factors relating to the opportunity gap, specifically family engagement and resiliency among underserved students. This research has positioned me to begin examining the disparities between the definitions of family engagement and deficits defined by school personnel and the students and families they support. Conducting this research led to other research endeavors that provided me with the opportunity to work under various faculty members within the School of Education and Human Development. With this opportunity, I have become a graduate researcher on projects investigating segregation in schools, exploring culturally relevant teaching practices, using an equity audit, and examining suspension and expulsion at the preschool level. I believe in creating opportunities of access on varying levels in education and school psychology. I have done so personally by serving as the student leader for both my program and the African American Subcommittee for NASP, creating an on-campus organization that provides students with opportunities to promote school psychology, and serving as the Multicultural Affairs Committee liaison to NASP's Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Task Force. In these roles, I promote cultural awareness and culturally responsive practices within the field of school psychology, advance diversity goals, and address potential challenges that inadvertently serve in limiting general access for some members, especially members belonging to underrepresented groups within school psychology. I am pursuing doctoral studies in school psychology because I wish to obtain the opportunity to further grow in my professional skills and development as a change agent that impacts the way schools and communities serve children and youth. Building on my applied and research experiences to date, the scientist practitioner model that this program upholds will further strengthen my skills for serving in roles as a researcher, professor, and practitioner. I believe the experience this program provides will serve as a well-rounded factor of growth towards assuming leadership roles within the field of school psychology. I believe this program will provide me with an intellectually challenging environment that will strengthen my acquisition of scientific knowledge and further advance my practice of informed evidence-based application. I trust that this program will bolster me in achieving my short-term career goal of becoming a culturally sound practitioner. In addition to my short-term goals, I believe the school psychology program at Blank University will aid in the achievement of my ultimate career goals in becoming a professor and a producer of research that not only influences the school psychology field, but also communities at large that seek to support and serve underserved children. I am applying to Blank University's school psychology program because of its sound training that will support me in my aim to continue developing my program of research. Clinically, it is my intention to use the opportunity to study school psychology at the doctoral level to enhance my competency in the application of psychological science to improve internalizing and externalizing concerns experienced by children belonging to underserved communities. I am certain that attending Blank University will foster opportunities to be exposed to purposeful leaders in the field that will challenge me in my development as a school psychologist. My desire to give back in serving others stems from a quote by Toni Morrison, a world-renowned writer and Nobel laureate. I hope that's how you say that, who famously stated, when you get these jobs that you have been so brilliantly trained for, just remember that your real job is that if you are free, you need to free somebody else. If you have some power, then your job is to empower somebody else. I'm excited about my academic endeavors and hope to have the opportunity to pursue my passion, develop new skills, and continue to grow and learn in the doctoral school psychology program at North Carolina State University. Yeah, so that's my personal statement. I hope you all have enjoyed my tips. I hope you all have enjoyed this nice read through of my personal statement. In the comments below, let me know if this was helpful at all. Connect with me on Instagram, connect with me on Twitter, connect with me in my email if I can help you any further. And thank you all for watching. Don't forget to enter the giveaway, and I will see you all next week. Bye.